mom and I are about to start our little European excursion. We made it to La Sagrada Familia. Ciao. Oh my god. Love that so much. There was definitely a time in my life where I wouldn't have the strength to stand up to that voice in my head. Before I get into this video, I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who has given me support on my video 2 videos ago now, I think, where I talk about my journey on YouTube. The amount of support and kindness that I have received on that video has been beyond anything I expected or could have ever imagined. I am reading every single comment that you guys left me. It just makes me feel so good to hear you all share your stories and talk about how I've inspired you to start your own YouTube or continue with your YouTube journey. So before we dove into this video, I just wanted to make sure that I said thank you for all of your love and support. It has definitely inspired me to keep going on this journey as well. After taking a 2-week break, if you haven't noticed, I talked about in that video how I was planning on still posting every single week. However, the last few weeks I have been in Europe and it has just been a hectic time, honestly. And I wanted to make sure that this video wasn't rushed. I honestly was really nervous turning the camera on again and recording. I feel like I'm putting this pressure on myself to make something really good and incredible because I feel like it's what's expected of me because of how well that one video did. At the same time, I'm trying to give myself grace. I'm still learning how to do all of this and learning how to create, so bear with me on that one. I'm still learning. I do want to start doing 1 video a week again, if not 1 video every other week. And yeah, I'm excited to just continue on this journey and keep creating. So with all of that said, let's get into the video. I originally planned for this video to be a vlog of my trip to Europe. I'm here at the Raleigh airport right now because my mom and I are about to start our little European excursion. I'm so excited to take you guys along with me, show you all of our adventures, show you the good food we're gonna be having and what we're gonna be doing. So that is kind of the plan for this vlog. For those of you who didn't know, I have been in Europe for the past 2 weeks having the absolute trip of a lifetime with my mom as a post-grad present. This is my lovely mother and travel partner for this trip. Hello. As I got farther into the trip, I honestly was getting kind of bored of filming a vlog. I would just kind of talk about what we were doing each day, what things we were eating, what things we were seeing. We're gonna just walk around kind of close to our neighborhood today in Vienna, go to a castle, go to this Spanish riding school, and it kind of just felt like I was repeating an itinerary of what we were doing. And I was like, if I'm getting bored filming this, then I think it's probably gonna be a kind of boring video. So instead, I wanted to make this video about what I have learned and some of my key takeaways from this trip. I feel like I really did learn a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the world. I learned a lot about traveling. So instead of a vlog of my trip, this is going to be a reflection video of my trip. However, I still have a lot of clips from when I was vlogging the trip, so I will intersperse those in there, so you're still gonna get to see what I did, but I wanted this to be more of a reflection instead of just an itinerary and a rundown of everything that I was doing. So with that, I present you with 6 key takeaways from my trip to Europe. The first one being, you don't need to plan everything. I did not do a lot of planning for this trip, which is super unlike me. Anyone who knows me knows that I am a major planner. Tell me the time, where we're gonna be, how long we're gonna be there, all of that type of stuff. But with this trip, I simply did not have a lot of time to plan it. So when my mom and I flew to Europe, we literally only had plane tickets to each country and our accommodations. Everything else we were kind of figuring out as we went along. We would literally kind of just plan either 2 days before at the earliest, sometimes even the night before. I was really nervous about doing this. I'm just used to having everything be planned out and knowing what we're doing and where we're going. But doing it this way actually was super fun and left room for a lot of spontaneity. I feel like we were able to get a lot out of the trip because we weren't boxing ourselves into, we're gonna be here at this time and be doing this at this time. Miraculously, it all actually worked out really well. The only things we weren't able to do were we weren't able to actually go inside the Sagrada Familia. We made it to La Sagrada Familia. We cannot go inside because We did not buy tickets. We could only walk around the outside because you needed tickets days in advance. Everything else we actually were able to do. We even got a couple lucky breaks. When we went to Florence, I was originally kind of upset because it looked like we weren't gonna be able to get into the Uffizi Gallery and the Accademia to see the David statue. We arrived on a weekend that was gonna be the first Sunday in June, and it turned out they have all these museums free for the first day in June in Florence. So we were able to not only get into the Uffizi Gallery and get to see the David and the Accademia, but we got to do both for free when normally we would be spending like 40 euros. I feel like doing this trip and not having anything planned and kind of just going with the flow and doing things on the fly, I think really helped me become a little bit more spontaneous. It kind of loosened up my inner control freak and just made me realize that not everything in life needs to be perfectly planned out. A lot of the time it works out. Times that it doesn't, you're gonna have a funny story to tell. My second takeaway from my Europe trip was that you do not need as much stuff as you think you do. I was terrified for packing for this trip. Okay, maybe terrified is a little bit of an exaggeration, but I was definitely very nervous about packing for this trip. My mom and I had decided that we were each only going to be taking one carry-on and then one personal item. We were gonna be taking all these flights in between cities, and it would just be a lot to have a whole big suitcase that we were dragging with us. Funny story, we did end up having quite a bit of stuff, so we did have to check one bag through Ryanair when we were doing all of our flights. But on the way there and back, we were able to kind of stuff her personal item in the duffel bag and then count the duffel bag as her personal item, and kind of got away with that. Thankfully, Southwest and Delta didn't ask any questions. But all of my stuff was in this one carry-on. I actually looked up a bunch of YouTube videos on how to pack for a 2-week trip to Europe in a carry-on. I'll leave a couple links down below if anyone else is going on a trip. The major tips that I learned were, one, using packing cubes. I had not heard of packing cubes before. I had never used them. Let me tell you, they are such a game changer for any trip that you are going on where you're going to need more clothes than you feel like your suitcase can fit. Get packing cubes. So helpful. The second major tip that I have that I utilized was having a capsule wardrobe. I think I only had like 2 or 3 pairs of pants. I had maybe 2 skirts, 2 dresses, and like 5 tops. I pretty much just rotated through wearing all of those. All of them were pretty neutral colored, so I can mix and match different stuff. It actually worked out really well, and I think I didn't even wear one of the tops I had. I was really nervous about not having enough clothes. What if I like go to reach for this and I don't have it? What if I want this outfit and I don't have it? Honestly, I just did not need as much stuff as I thought I did. I was perfectly fine. I had enough clothes. Did I have to rewear some shirts and pants twice before I washed them? Yeah, but you know, just use a little extra deodorant, spritz on some perfume, and you're fine. I've actually kind of taken this idea back home. I'm about to do this big move. I don't want to be moving all of this stuff, so I'm kind of trying to take that mindset of minimalism, and I don't actually need as many things as I think I do, and it inspired me to come home, and I'm cleaning out my closet and taking a bunch of my clothes to Goodwill. You probably do not need as many things as you need, either when you're going on a trip or just in your general life. Of course, having stuff is really nice. It's a major privilege to be able to have extra stuff, but extra stuff is just more work to haul around. If you think about it, do you even really wear all of the clothes that you have? Probably not. So holding on to them like I usually do just because of that, well, just in case one day I might reach for it, maybe not worth it for the space that it's taking up in your closet. I don't need as much stuff to get through life as I think I do. The third thing I have taken away from my trip to Europe is that running is a great way to get to know any city that you're visiting. I started my own running journey about a month and a half ago as someone who pretty much did not run for the past 5 years. I'm now working up to trying to run a 10K. I think I mentioned this in another video. I wasn't really focused on exercising that much at all while in Europe, but a couple times a week I would run. It's a super easy form of exercise you can do pretty much anywhere, but one of the things that I loved most about running in Europe was that it really helped me get to know about the cities that we were staying in. I felt like I would get a sense of the people, a sense of the landmarks, and sometimes I would even kind of know where we were going during the day without Google Maps because I had run through there earlier. It just gave me such an appreciation for each and every city I was in. I feel like I really got to see more of the city than I would have if I was just walking around it. It also made the running more enjoyable because I had some scenery that I could look at that was new and hadn't seen before. I think probably my favorite run that I did was one that I did in Florence. I went along the water all the way down the river and all the way back. It was my first long run, which was 4 miles, which is the farthest I've run in quite some time. But honestly, the scenery was so beautiful that I didn't even really felt like I ran 4 miles when I finished. So yeah, something small but special, and definitely some really good memories that I have from that trip, from getting to run around each city that I was in. The fourth thing that I took away from being in Europe was something that I already know, but it's helpful to have a reminder of. That extra slice of pizza will not hurt you. And neither will the additional cocktail or extra scoop of gelato. I was eating such a different diet when I was in Europe than I normally do at home. I was having pastries in the morning for breakfast. I was having a cocktail every evening. When we were in Italy, I had either pizza or pasta every single day, sometimes pizza and pasta in one day. I was having gelato almost every night. I was truly enjoying every single moment of that trip, and that meant fully enjoying every single meal that I was having. There were definitely times I would eat past when I was full just because the food tasted so good. And on top of that, I wasn't really working out except for my couple of runs that I would go on a week. We were walking a lot, which is something about Europe. You walk everywhere. So I was getting a ton of steps in, but I wasn't going to the gym like I normally did. In the past, this is something that would have really freaked me out, and I probably would have had a really hard time with while traveling. If I do have things, feeling bad for it, just worrying about food and how much I was eating and what I was eating in general. On this trip, I was able to just fully enjoy everything. And coming back, I really don't feel that much different. My body hasn't really changed at all, and I feel really good. And the best part is I have really great memories of my trip. While I wish I could sit here and say that I had absolutely no guilt over any meal, or I didn't have a single moment where I thought about what I was eating or how much I was eating, that's not true. As someone who has a history of disordered eating and an eating disorder, an unfortunate reality of that is those thoughts don't really go away. They get quieter, but sometimes they still pop up in the back of your mind. I remember that there was one breakfast in particular where my mom and I ordered quiche. They served us 2 slices of quiche. I finished my 1 slice and I was still actually hungry. And I sat there for a while, kind of going back and forth between, do I eat the second slice of quiche? Do I not eat the second slice of quiche? Am I gonna be overly full? This meal will probably have so many calories if I have this second slice of quiche. All of this stuff in my head. And eventually I was like, I just need to listen to my body. If I want to eat the second slice, then I'm gonna eat the second slice. Long story short, I ate the second slice of quiche, and guess what happened? Literally absolutely nothing. I did not suddenly gain a ton of weight. I did not feel overly stuffed because I was still hungry and I wanted the second slice. At the end of the day, not listening to those voices in your head, not listening to those thoughts is what's gonna make you stronger, and it's what's gonna make them quieter. There was definitely a time in my life where I wouldn't have the strength to stand up to that voice in my head. The fact that I did and was able to on this trip is really, really special to me and just makes me really happy. All right, we're gonna speed up because I had to turn off the air in here because I didn't want the background noise, but now it's getting really hot and I think my camera's starting to overheat. So, number 5, try to embrace when things don't go as planned. Not everything needs to be planned, but when you do plan things and they don't go as you plan, try to just go with the flow and embrace it because it'll probably make for a good story. So, story behind this one is we were supposed to do this hike. We were hiking Monte Solaro on the Amalfi Coast in Italy, and we decided to go on this hike. I looked up on All Trails. I can't get too mad because people did say it was fairly challenging. It was one of those things where I read those comments and I was like, oh yeah, it's fairly challenging for them. them, but you know, we're gonna be totally fine. It'll be good. We start out on this hike and it's going fine, and then we get to a point where the last mile we are on the side of the mountain. We are basically rock climbing. We're dirty, we're sweaty. It feels like we're never gonna get there. We're just in the middle of nowhere. You know, I think we're sort of close to the top. We pretty much have to go up that way to the top of the mountain. There were definitely points that both me and my mom were like, oh my God, what did we get ourselves into? When is this going to end? Are we gonna make it? Things didn't go as planned. We thought we were going to take this little jaunt up the mountain and get to see some views and then relax and have a cocktail before we went on our boat ride that afternoon. That was not the case. We definitely saw views. We were up there with the mountain goats. This trail did say it had the best views and they weren't lying. Look at that. It's the entire village. But we were not relaxed. We were not relaxing. And you know what? While we were in it, was it really challenging? Yes. Was it fun? Not 100% of the time, but looking back, now it just really makes for a funny story. We officially made it to the top. The last 45 minutes to an hour was very intense hiking.
Rough.
It was rough. It was very rough. We were quite literally rock climbing up the side of the mountain. We're supposed to be on the path walking to the town of Anacapri. Hopefully that is where we will find the thing that will take us back down this mountain so we do not have to go the way we came. We are very, very dirty. I don't think I've ever been this dusty and my shoes have ever been this dirty. I'm feeling pretty proud, you know? We did a really hard thing today. You only get one life. Why not spend it doing things like climbing up the side of a mountain in Italy? Moral of the story, not everything is gonna go as planned, especially when you're traveling. And when that happens, you just gotta learn to roll with it. Something that I definitely became a bit better at while we were there. My final takeaway from being in Europe is that sometimes the best things in life are actually free. When it came to this trip, the best parts were the things that didn't cost any money. Okay, I know the trip as a whole cost money, but when I think about my favorite parts, it wasn't a specific attraction that we were able to get tickets for. It wasn't a certain meal. It was honestly just the special small moments that I got to have just me and my mom. It was getting to read outside at a cafe in Italy and just relax for 2 hours and people watch. It was getting to see the beautiful Italian countryside when we were on a train ride. It was all those little moments that made the trip so special. This is quite a literal example. We signed up for a free walking tour in Florence. I was kind of on the fence about it. I would think that you would need to pay a lot of money to have a really good walking tour. That walking tour was honestly one of, if not the best experience we had on the trip. Our tour guide was incredible. We had a great group. I feel like I learned so much about the city of Florence, and it's wild to me that one of the best things on the trip was something we didn't even pay for. I think I just wanted to say that most of the really great things you get out of life are not the ones that cost a lot of money. They're the little moments, they're the views, they're the people, they're the free walking tours that you can sign up for. So that is my reflection on this 2-week trip to Europe. We did 5 different cities, 4 different countries in 15 days. And like I said, it was probably the best 15 days of this year for me so far. I just feel so lucky to have gotten to spend that time with someone in my life who is my best friend and who is so important to me, and get to just have all these really special memories together. There are just so many small moments that I feel like I'm going to cherish for the rest of my life from this trip. It was absolutely incredible. If you have made it to the end of this video, thank you so much for watching. Again, thank you all for all of your support on this video, on my past couple of videos. It means so much to me. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you did like this video, giving it a thumbs up would be a huge help to me. You can also subscribe to my channel down below so you will be notified when the next video is coming out. And with that, I'm wishing you all the absolute best, and I will see you in the next one. We have just arrived in Dublin. It is about, I actually have no idea what time it is. It's called a higher Heidelberg, what is it?
Hiriger.
A Hiriger. So it looks like our train is here. All right, what are the thoughts on La Sagrada Familia?
This man is a genius.
Apparently when Gaudi died, only 20% of it was done. What are you having?
A Spanish omelet.
A Spanish omelet?
But they made it into a sandwich.
I don't know where this was going.
Cheers. Cheers. Ciao. This is not a jalab place with chunks.
Oh my gosh, I just dumped my camera in it. We do not have to go the way we came.
The Cliffs of Insanity.
The Cliffs of Insanity. It was quite literally the Cliffs of Insanity. We are walking on our way to dinner right now. Ooh, I just kicked a water bottle. Let's try that again. We got the cheesecake and the cremina, whatever that means.
It's two types of chocolate with hazelnut.
It's incredible. You know, if this is my last recorded words, then hopefully someone somewhere will find this. And
It's not gonna happen.
I know, I'm kidding.